side-scrolling beat-em-up fun from the Mega Drive, Streets of Rage 2 continued the original's crime-busting action with a new story of personal vengeance. Hero Adam Hunter is kidnapped by the returning Mr. X, so it's up to Axel and Blaze to head out and rescue him. Being joined by newcomers Skate, who's actually Adam's brother, and Max Thunder, who's Axel's pro wrestler friend, there's more varied and personal special moves, new weapons and tougher enemies. Streets of Rage 2 improved on the original in almost every way. With the action moving from even the streets to Mr. X's island hideout, it's bigger, it's better, and it's beat 'em uppier. Isn't it time you hit the streets just one more time?
So today we're going into Streets of Rage 2, originally released on the Sega Genesis, and we're playing it through the Sega Ventures Collection Streets of Rage, which has Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3, which was released way back when the Xbox 360 played on Xbox One via backwards compatibility. And I wanted to revisit this game simply because of the wonderful announcement, surprise announcement that Sega dropped during the Game Awards, where we're getting another or a new Streets of Rage after we got the beautiful Streets of Rage 4 from Dotemu a few years ago. And this one looks to be a 3D version of Streets of Rage. So I'm looking forward to that. So pop back into Streets of Rage 2, a game which I've played many, many times and have beaten many, many times. And it's just one of those things that, or I should say one of those games that I just enjoy going back to. It's such a reminder of my childhood. It's such just a wonderful game to play. And you honestly forget how good of a game this is sometimes until you go back to revisit it. I always pick Axel. I like him. I think he's a balanced character. And maybe it's just more or less going back to the first Streets of Rage, where you only had Axel and I think Star is her name to choose from, if I remember that correctly. It's weird when you go back from Streets of Rage 1 to Streets of Rage 2 to see how much of an upgrade Streets of Rage 2 is compared to 1. Graphically, music, gameplay, it's like everything is like a substantial upgrade compared to the first one. It's really amazing. The sort of leaps and bounds that many sequels on the Genesis did. But Streets of Rage 1 to 2 specifically, it's amazing what they did with this game. And the music just holds up so well. It's so fun to play this game, listen to this music. I always love the mood set, the flipping, the punching, especially if you've been playing the game for 30 years. You get a bit of a strategy involved in your fighting. You see here, I haven't taken any damage as of yet. There's something about the classic beat 'em ups, and I'm glad there's a resurgence nowadays with we've had so many games in the past few years that have just recreated these arcade beat 'em ups. Even re-releases like the Scott Pilgrim game, which was just an awesome game to play. And you know, they back to these classic beat 'em ups from the late 80s and early 90s, Final Fight, Streets of Rage, all of them. So, one of the things I really liked with Streets of Rage 2, I liked the weapons. I like Donovan. It's mad up. I remember these characters' names, Donovan, and all of them, all these years later, just popping up out of the sewer. Now, why is he covered in feces? How long was he in the sewer, just waiting for you to hop along? Like, who does that? I know it was gang warfare and everything, but are gang members really just hiding in the sewer, waiting for the cops or the good guys to walk by? And this guy, his walk with that knife, like, who walks hunched over like that with a knife? Really? There's something so satisfying about just beating them to death with their pipe. It's just really cool when you hear the type, whoosh, you hear the sound effects of you swinging a, like, you sound like you're about to do some damage when you connect, and the hitter screams when you hit him. I wonder, do anyone or has anyone really had an issue with the timer? It's something I noticed as I was playing. I forget there's a timer there because I literally never pay attention to it because I never worry about running out of time. And who plays this game and runs out of time? I think what they give you is ample. I really feel like this guy was patterned after Billy Idol. He looks like he could be a Billy Idol knockoff. Well, Sega back in the 90s, they copied some characters. You go back to what, Revenge of Shinobi, yeah, Spider-Man in there, Batman, Godzilla. At first, they got sued for trademark infringement, so they had to make some changes to that game. But yeah, in the original one, they did what they wanted to and saw what they get away with. And this guy really reminds me of Billy Idol. Maybe Billy Idol on acid, but definitely Billy Idol nonetheless. I feel like they were listening to a lot of 80s when they were doing this. So here we are into inside of the bar. We killed the makeshift Billy Idol. One of the things I liked about this game is that they had all these little mini bosses before you got to the real bar. So you got the Billy Idol guy who we just demolished, and pretty shortly we're going to get to another boss. I really think sometimes, especially with this character as well as the derivatives, and that's almost Poison. Poison is there's an interesting history to that character. Look it up. But I feel as though this whole 90s sort of street interpretation, especially once we get a little bit further, was very interesting and peculiar. It makes me wonder at times, even now, but back then more so, because you didn't have as much of that sort of window into other cultures as you do now with the internet and everything, and YouTube and all those things. Well, YouTube's on the internet, but you know what I mean. Their perception of the West, and I think a lot of that really is personified with these sort of games and what people wearing. Like, okay, this boss here, you know, stockings, the thigh-high boots. She looks straight up like a dominatrix. Or at least what your perception of a domination would be, especially probably in the early 90s. And this is something that I just want, like, why do I think this is a good idea? As far as the character design, not saying it's not, but, you know, you have to ask these questions sometimes. Like, what were they thinking when they designed these characters? There's Donovan again. I didn't want to get to this part and eat a turkey by accident. I ended up having to eat a turkey because I hit the trash can. And you know, it'll disappear after a while. So you gotta eat turkey even if you don't need it just because. Why are they just standing in the rain? Aren't they wet? I'm just saying. Yeah, I pulled that off too prematurely the first time. Got him the second time. Actually, no, I was wrong. I did get the turkey in time. I didn't eat it. Yep. That dude's roundhouse is serious. Again, another too premature for that one. Oh, got him. Two-pieced him. There we go. That's what you call the ultra combo. Got him again. And he's done. Yeah, it's one of the things I really like, the progression of bosses. You had the Billy Idol, and then the Dominatrix trick, and then the main guy at the end. It really, as a new player, it really got you ready for what was to come. At start of, I guess, stage 2, we're going to bid you farewell.